The news was, well, it was sudden, visceral, and just utterly shocking. We're talking about the mayor of Flavortown himself, Guy Fieri. A guy whose whole personality is just this, boundless energy.
Right. Infectious.
And he suddenly disappears from his own set. The headlines that followed were immediately sensational, designed to make you wince.
They definitely did.
Celebrity chef Guy Fieri's leg muscle had, and this is a quote, exploded, just exploded, required emergency surgery.
It really sounds like an exaggeration, doesn't it? Some over-the-top word for a bad slip.
Of course.
But as we started to dive into the reports, Fieri's own interviews with Fox News Digital, Entertainment Weekly, and then you pair that with the medical analyses, that word exploded stops being just sensationalism.
It becomes almost clinical.
It becomes a functional description of a catastrophic failure.
And that's really our mission today, to get past that viral headline and understand the true severity, the anatomical rarity of this, and the massive professional disruption it caused.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about a 57-year-old titan of the Food Network. He's in the middle of filming his brand new show, Flavortown Food Fight.
Huge production.
And he goes from leading this massive crew to being, well, completely immobilized for months. So the core question for us is, what happened in that one single instant? And why was this injury so rare, it even surprised a seasoned surgeon?
It's a pretty remarkable case study. It shows how a really common accident, just a simple slip, can unleash this freak physical trauma. The forces involved had to be just immense.
Okay, let's break this down right from the beginning. This wasn't some complex sports injury on a field. This was just terrible gravity and momentum.
Exactly.
Setting was the production of Flavortown Food Fight. So what did Fieri himself say about how it happened? The mechanism of the injury.
He was actually very precise in his recounting of it. He said he was going down a set of steps, and the problem was the asynchronous movement of his legs. Yeah, he explained that one foot went forward and the other foot got caught on the threshold. And that's the moment. Yeah. That is the moment where that catastrophic force is generated.
So his entire body weight, his momentum, all of it just converged into one single moment of extreme hyperextension. And Shrekky actually said it looked like he was, trying to do the splits.
Exactly. And the injury happened at the absolute limit of that stretch. But, and this is crucial, it failed when his right leg immediately tried to compress itself.
Oh!
So you have that combination of the maximum instantaneous tensile load, that's the muscle being yanked apart, followed by that immediate compression. That was the trigger.
An instant rupture.
An instant, complete, full-thickness tear of the quadriceps muscle.
And we really can't overlook the professional timing here. This wasn't something that happened on a weekend. This was a mid-production disaster.
Yes.
It wasn't just a physical injury to one person. This became a massive logistical crisis for, 125 people?
That number, 125 people on set, that's so crucial. I mean, that represents a huge financial and creative undertaking.
You've got production staff, camera operators, lighting crews.
And most importantly, all the celebrity chefs. They'd all flown in. They were all ready to compete in this new show.
And the star, the entire face of the show, is suddenly just gone, rushing to surgery.
I mean, can you imagine the pressure on a production manager at that moment?
It's chaos. It has to be. Fieri himself said, we've got everybody in town and all the chefs there and 125 people on set and everybody's ready to go and I'm in surgery.
The show has to go on, but how? How do you maintain the energy of a cooking competition when your host is suddenly completely immobile?
They couldn't just stop filming for 2 months, obviously. So the production team, they had to pull off this emergency pivot. What did that actually look like?
Well, it meant leaning really heavily into the art of, let's call it cinematic deception. They had to use creative filming techniques right away.
So, tight shots.
Tight shots. Filming him mostly from the waist up. Any wide shot of the kitchen had to have props, strategically placed kitchen islands or counters, just to hide the fact that he was either in a wheelchair or on crutches.
So the mayor of Flavortown, a guy who usually runs around tasting everything, firing up the chefs, he was forced to operate as a completely stationary figurehead.
Yeah, that shift alone must have radically changed the energy of the show. It just demanded incredible adaptability from everyone.
It really speaks volumes about the professionalism on that set, but it was the severity of his injury that forced that.
Which I think brings us to the medical deep dive. We have to address the rarity of this thing.
And this is where it gets really fascinating. Fieri was very clear about this. The doctor who operated on him, a professional with decades of experience, said he had never, ever seen a tear in this specific spot.
Right.
So why was his quad rupture so unusual?
To really get it, you need a quick anatomy lesson.
Yeah.
The quadriceps femoris is, it's the powerhouse of your thigh. It's the largest muscle mass in the body. Its main job is knee extension, straightening your leg. So when you walk, stand up, climb stairs, that muscle is doing all the heavy lifting. A complete rupture means that functional link is just broken.
That sounds awful enough. But what makes this specific injury a 1 in 20 year kind of event? Fieri said the muscle exploded right in the center.
That description, exploded,
Right.
it really captures the failure under these abnormal conditions. You see, when we normally see a severe quadriceps tear, it happens at the weakest points.
Like where?
Usually where the muscle turns into tendon, the musculotendinous junction, or where the tendon itself actually tears off the bone. Those are known high-stress failure points.
But his injury wasn't at the junction.
Fundamentally, no. His tear was in the central muscle belly itself. This is the, quote, biggest, thickest part of the quad. It's mostly tough muscle fibers. For a tear to happen right there in the middle.
What does that mean?
It means the insane tensile load generated during that slip was just so extreme, it exceeded the strength of the muscle tissue itself, not just the connection points.
So, it wasn't a tendon snapping off a bone. It was the main engine tearing itself in half.
Precisely. It's like if you're pulling on a rope, it usually breaks where there's a knot or it's frayed at the end, right?
Sure.
Fieri's rope broke clean in the middle, which tells you the force was so swift and so powerful that the fibers just couldn't absorb it, and they failed internally. That's the anatomical anomaly that startled his surgeon.
Okay, that explains the rarity, but it brings up the next big question. Why emergency surgery? Couldn't they have just stabilized him and scheduled it for the next day?
And that's such an important point about this kind of soft tissue trauma, especially in a muscle group this big. The reason the clock was ticking is all about muscle elasticity and its contractile strength.
Like a giant rubber band snapping.
Exactly like that. When the quad is completely severed, the muscle tissue, which is always under tension, it begins to retract, and it happens fast. The two severed ends just pull away from each other.
So they're just pulling apart inside his leg.
Severely and progressively. In a muscle as massive as the quad, waiting even a day, that can be catastrophic for the repair.
Wait, so the muscle pulls away so quickly that even just a few hours of delay makes the recovery harder?
It makes it potentially impossible. If you delay the repair, that gap widens to a point where a surgeon physically cannot pull the two ends back together to suture them.
Wow.
And if that happens, the result is a permanent, debilitating injury. He would have lost the functional length of that muscle. He would never be able to fully straighten his knee again.
So no more climbing stairs normally, or even just driving a car?
Exactly. The emergency surgery was absolutely necessary to restore that functional length while the ends were still, accessible.
That puts the whole thing in perfect context. That sensational headline actually communicated a very real, very time-sensitive medical disaster.
It did.
And if you appreciate getting this kind of deep, factual context behind major celebrity news, this is probably a good time to make sure you've hit that subscribe button, because we're about to look at the huge personal challenge Fieri faced next.
Yeah, the fallout from that operating table immediately forced some major shifts in his life, especially with the holiday season right around the corner.
Absolutely. The sources all confirmed that Fieri isn't just a professional chef. He's the center of his family's huge holiday operation.
The Thanksgiving guy?
He typically cooks the annual Thanksgiving meal for about 40 people. This year, delegation wasn't just an option, it was mandatory.
He had to hand over the reins of the kitchen. For a chef like him, that's probably a massive exercise in letting go of control.
He delegated it all to his sons, Ryder and Hunter, and a nephew. He was forced into being the ultimate manager.
Right.
He joked about quarterbacking from the wheelchair and telling them what to do. It's a great image, right? Someone's still in command even when they're physically restricted.
And it sounds like his son, Ryder, really saw it as his time to shine in the kitchen.
But okay. Moving past the holiday cheer, the recovery protocol for an injury this severe, this rare, it's got to be taxing. What's the official timeline for getting Guy Fieri back to being Guy Fieri?
This is where his personality really meets the hard reality of orthopedic medicine. The initial phase is just immensely restrictive.
So what are we talking about?
The guidance is crystal clear. Fieri has to be completely off the leg non-weight-bearing crutches wheelchairs for a protective period of 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
8 weeks of total immobilization. And that's just to let the surgical repair stabilize. That's only the starting line.
And after that?
After that initial phase, he's still far from over it. He moves from immobilization to a very measured, very intensive rehabilitation, the full recovery. Getting back to that active chef persona, that's projected to take a minimum of 4 to 6 months, maybe longer.
And knowing Fieri, you hear him say things like, I want to get after it as fast as possible. That instinct to just rush must be fighting against every single medical instruction he's getting.
It's the major psychological hurdle. Orthopedic professionals are absolutely emphatic about not rushing this. A re-tear of a surgically repaired quad rupture would be devastating. You're basically back to zero, maybe with a worse outcome.
So what does that slow progression actually look like? Are we talking about literal baby steps in recovery?
Precisely. The guidelines are so strict. For example, clinical protocol suggests that in the early stages of rehab, by weeks 4 to 6, he might only reach about 50 degrees of knee flexion.
50 degrees? That's not much.
It's a tiny incremental bending motion. Every single advancement has to be slow, controlled, and monitored. For a person who lives life at 100 miles an hour, being forced to measure movement in single-degree increments is an immense test of patience.
So we've tracked the whole thing, from a freak slip causing a rare quad explosion to immediate life-altering surgery, a massive production pivot. And now, this long, highly measured road to recovery.
I think the summary is that this is a freak accident leading to a rear injury, forcing the mayor of Flavortown to adopt the one characteristic he seems least inclined to have: absolute patience.
Yeah.
The physical pain is one thing, but the psychological demand of just being still and sticking to a slow timeline, that might be the greater test.
He's recuperating at his ranch now, a place he said is normally all about hiking and outdoors, an active life that's just completely off limits right now.
The surgery fixed the structure, but the recovery demands an absolute stillness.
Which leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. Knowing Guy Fieri's whole personality, his high energy, his passion for that active life he leads, what do you think is the greater challenge for him over the next several months? Is it the physical pain and the rigor of the rehab itself? Or is it the profound psychological requirement of staying absolutely still, confined, and just being forced to wait for his body to heal on its own slow schedule?
It's a tough one.
You've been listening to The Deep Dive, where we uncover the facts shaping the biggest stories in celebrity and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that give you the knowledge you need.